Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Patricia Martinez, and I want to thank you for joining our webcast on how to improve user experience with SAP Fiori, SAP Screen Personas, and ClearUI. This webcast is hosted by LengTech Nearshore, and our guest speaker for today will be Ricardo Sada. He's our innovation manager with lots of experience on user experience and BI projects. Our goal for this webcast is to help you evaluate the available options in the market for improving user experience, its benefits and main differences. For today's presentation, questions may be submitted online at any time by typing your questions in the type box. Open Q&A will be immediately after the presentation. And after the completion of the webcast, you will receive a copy of the presentation with our contact information. So let's get started, and thank you for attending again. Ricardo?
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, everyone, for attending. We'll be talking about the user experience subject, which is a very current subject, a current concern for many for business software. And this is our agenda for today. We'll be starting talking about a trend that's called IT consumerization and a bit of history about SAP's user experience, which has been traditionally not SAP's forte, so to speak. Then we'll talk about the business case for user experience. Why is it important for IT organizations and companies as well to consider user experience of a key part in user productivity, and also customer and probably supplier experience as well. And then we'll go through some of the options that you at your companies, as if you guys are, of course, SAP shops, that you may want to consider for a user experience project depending on your needs. Some are SAP products like Screen Personas or Fiori technology. You may have heard if you've been attending SAP webinars and events in the past 2 or 3 years. There's been a lot of talk about Fiori, for example. And then we'll discuss one third-party options. There's also software companies that have been creating their own innovation, their own technology to improve user experience in SAP as well as in other ERP softwares, right? Then we'll conclude and end up with Q&A at the end of the presentation. So what is the consumerization of IT, right? And this is Gartner's IT glossary definition, right? Basically, it's the impact that consumer-originated technologies have on enterprises. What are these consumer-originated technologies in terms of user experiences? Well, basically, mostly they are consumer applications, right? Like WhatsApp or Facebook or Snapchat, Twitter, and so on, right? So nobody told us how to use Facebook or Snapchat or every application we use on our smartphones or on the web, right? But it affects and what companies are using as technology for to run their business, right? And companies are affected by this and can take advantage of it to develop a new user experience in business applications as well, right? Traditionally, business applications are a bit lagging in user experience, right? It hasn't been focused yet, but today's users are less likely to embrace or to want complexity in business applications as well, right? So consumerization is not so much of a strategy, rather it's a trend that you must deal with inside your company, your organization, right? This image, I think, a bit reflects what user experience, how different can the user experience be in a common household item like a remote control, right? Everyone has a remote that looks like the one on the left, right? For probably our sound system or surround system. And that's a Sony surround system control, right? With lots of functions. And probably we only use a couple of those functions, right? 2 or 3 of those functions: volume, turn on and off, and maybe something else, right? And to the left, to the right, that's an Apple TV control, right? A completely different experience, a marvel of simplicity, if you will, right? So much is the same, the case with business software, right? Especially SAP transactions and screens, right? They're usually too complex. They have tons of options. All this complexity adds noise and complexity to the user experience, right? So the idea of the technologies that we're going to discuss today is exactly to produce this kind of effect, or at least come nearer to a simpler consumer-like experience in business software, right? This is a timeline of SAP user experience technology, starting with the 70s, their first release or second release of their ERP software. 1992 was when SAP R3 was released, and today most SAP customers still use the user interface that was created or designed in 1992. That technology is almost 25 years old. All SAP standard GUI transactions, the blue screens that everybody knows, were designed right then, right? I mean the technology and the design paradigm that was used, right? Other technologies have been released through the last decade. SAP Portal, Screen Personas is not new. We're going to discuss personas in a while, and more recently SAP UI5, which is a technology that all Fiori applications are based, right? So this is a bit of a timeline, but still most SAP customers still run on 20-year-old technology for user experience, right? So an update is needed. No? So I was saying SAP GUI was launched in 1992, and it's still the main route, the main point of access to SAP. And as you probably know, your user node requires a lot of memorization, right? You need to know your transaction codes, you need to know your transactions by heart, how to use them, all those tabs and buttons, and it usually requires the use of multiple screens. This is how the users fix the problem, right? They usually open a couple of screens or sessions to aid themselves or help themselves into the information or the transaction that they need to process, right? It is usually very complex, right? Users that have been exposed to simpler systems or modern user interfaces have a hard time adapting to the blue screens in SAP GUI, right? Basically, it's not easy to use, right? And if you want to adjust it, you require ABAP code to create new screens, and that of course is costs for your company, custom code that you have to manage in time, and so on, right? So let's make a pause here before we go into the options for user experience themselves, and talk about some of the trends influencing SAP as a software company, right? One of them is user expectations, which is tightly linked to IT consumerization, right? Users have now zero tolerance for complexity, right? We want applications that we can use and learn without reading any user manual or having some extensive training as to what the application is supposed to do, right? Self-learning, so to speak. So we want speed like and simplicity like Google, right? Other trend influencing SAP is their cloud offering. Most of these companies, SuccessFactors, Concur, these products were acquired by SAP with existing software that was built with more modern web-based adaptive user experiences, right? And well, they have their own cloud platform as well, right? From maybe 5 years ago, SAP started to have a more focus on UX. That was when Fiori, the first Fiori screens were released. Screen personas as well, as enabling the tool to enable the SAP customers to kind of personalize their screen. And the new release of their ERP software, S4HANA, has been renewing all user interfaces based on this Fiori technology. Another trend is open source. All SAP development technology, ABAP, was proprietary and closed, meaning that it ran only on SAP software and was used only in SAP context. But today, SAP is more open. There are new technologies for user experience like UI5, which is what Fiori is built with, are open source, meaning you can use them for your own projects. The public in general can use UI5 to create websites or applications. And also some of the training that SAP provides is now open through opensap.com. Right? So that's another trend. And last but not least, an innovation culture that's been growing inside SAP. A lot of it using methodologies for innovation like design thinking, which are more user empathy, more user-centric, right? And this is something I came across in a course in opensap.com about SAP's UX strategy, which I encourage you to take a look at. This is what they call the user declaration of rights. And this is what I think their user experience teams is using as a guideline or as principles to design new products or to redesign what they're coming out with, right? So make things simple, don't get in my way, don't waste my time, know what I'm doing, let me personalize, know my preferences, and know that I have other things to do. So it sounds pretty neat, right? So it sounds more empathetic to the user experience. And I think SAP is on a different track now in terms of user experience. This is a recommendation I was just speaking about. Check out this webinar, this course, or it is for free in opensap.com. It's called SAP's UX Strategy in a Nutshell by Samuel. So why is user experience important for us, for companies? Well, one of the main reasons is that IT projects tend to fail or maybe do not deliver the expected benefit because of user rejection. And a lot of user rejections has to do with user experience, with the way the system feels and how hard or easy is it to use, right? So user experience, a focus on UX, can increase the productivity, and IT adoption, of course, can reduce training costs. If you have organizations with a lot of personnel rotation, for example, and you have to constantly train new employees, well, that is expense, that is a cost. It can also well reduce phone calls or IT support. For IT support organizations, it is important to consider user experience as a way to not just improve user happiness, but also to reduce the cost needed to support the operation, avoid cost of in-house development or customization, improve information quality, and so on, right? I mean, here it's a quote that I love from Steve Jobs, which I thought was one of the user experience geniuses of our time. And he liked to start with the customer experience and send technology to a second or third priority, right? So for him, the user experience or the customer experience was first, and then in which way we're going to produce that experience was secondary to his strategy, right? So where will or can user experience impact in your company? And this is kind of linked to the prior slide. You can increase productivity. You can impact training, you can impact data quality. If a user interface is difficult to use or not intuitive, it may result in wrong data being entered into the system, right? Or problem resolution. I encourage you also to check out this link right there. We're going to send these slides to you as well. There's a tool that, a simple tool that SAP uses to, it's a basic calculator on the impact that user experience can have in different business scenarios, for example, sales order creation or purchase order creation. So you enter some of your data right there, how many users you have, how many steps, and so on, and it comes up with a number and with an impact on productivity scenario. So it's kind of like a simple tool to realize what you guys could be doing in your own organizations. All right. And key to user experience, finally, this is a bit about the design thinking methodology I was mentioning earlier, is empathy to the user, right? It is important that we are able to put ourselves as an IT organization in the shoes of of the user in the role, and in order for us to detect some of the symptoms of a user experience problem, right, or opportunities, right, inefficiencies, tasks that take too long or that are repetitive, that probably don't have any additional value to the process or to the customer, frequent preventable errors or avoidable errors, complex and frequent trainings, continuous user complaints, user fixes. This is important. This is when a user kind of creates their own version or their own process in the context of the application. For example, maybe they have some information in Excel and then copy paste it back and forth SAP, right? Maybe they open a lot of sessions in one screen, and that's the way they do the, or maybe they alter the process itself, and this is the way users usually fix their day, right? So if something like that is going on, that's a symptom that you may have a user experience problem. Broken processes, issues with data quality, and also it's important to measure how things are going. How many clicks, how many steps, how many fields, how much time does it take for a user to complete any task. This is a sort of an analytic or precise way, and this can be really easily. You can video record the way your users use the system and basically count all the clicks and steps and come up with a measure of complexity. All right, so we discussed about user experience, why it is important, how, and now we're going to discuss some of the options for companies running on SAP to improve the user experience, right? So the first one is screen personas. SAP refers to screen personas as a tool for productivity through individualization or personalization, right? This is a tool to simplify screens, meaning that you can remove, for example, tabs or fields that are not needed. You can consolidate information, meaning that you can call other transactions in the background and display information from other transactions in one, or you can create dashboards that access a multitude of transactions like the one we're looking right there as a sample. You can also automate some steps if to create, for example, a rush order. Usually the first two steps or the first three steps are exactly the same, and the user has to enter them every time they want to enter a rush order. You can create what they call a script or a macro, sort of like an Excel macro, and have the tool execute those steps automatically for you, so you don't have to enter them every time. You can as well, of course, this as well reduces the clicks and the steps you need to complete a transaction or a process. You can use it with dimper screens for standard or custom transactions. And it is a SAP add-on with no extra licensing costs. So in our experience, screen personas can reduce steps to complete a transaction by 50% or perhaps more, depending on the transaction. No? And you access it via a web browser, right? It's a web-based technology. It's based on web GUI, and I think more recently they also embedded it into the old SAP GUI, but in the end, it's basically web access, right? So the idea with personas is that it's a tool for individualization or personalization, which is, of course, the opposite of standardization, right? This means that you can create a version of a transaction for a particular group of users or role of users, right? And in personas, they call them flavors. I'm going to show you an example of, just let me pull up my demo environment. Right, there you go. Of what can be done with personas. So now I'm accessing a demo system here, which is a very current demo system. This is S4, and this is the old SAP GUI, or in this case, this is a web GUI that that you guys know. And here I have enabled a screen personas ribbon or say toolbar, right? That means that I can change the look and feel of this particular screen. So I'm going to open it. And what I see here is that I can use my original screen, but I can also see that I have enabled different versions of this particular launchpad or initial screen. So I'm going to click on this one right here. Let me reduce the size of the screen. Right there. There you go. And this sample is based on a rapid deployment solution for stream personas. This is some pre-configured content that you guys may want to be interested in downloading from SAP, some samples that you guys can use to get started. And what I see here is that I have a web-like website, right, or panel. I have 3 different access links or buttons. So I'm going to click on sales order processing. And this is as well a different version of or a flavor of a standard transaction, right? I can see that things have been arranged here for me in a sort of like a process or a intuitive manner. So I know the process is first to create a sales order and so on. And then I can enter here, and this will take me to a version or a modified version of the create sales order transaction, which is VA01 in standard GUI. And I can see that it has been greatly changed, right? So a lot of the original fields are not there present, or the tabs have been removed. I can only see a couple of the fields. I can see that it is a different look and feel, colors, and so on. And of course, I can also switch back to the original screen and take a look at it as it was. Loading, so there you go. That's the original screen. As you can see, much more complex, lots of tabs, lots of buttons. In the other screen, the toolbar is gone. A lot of things are gone, right? So it is a simplified version of personas, and you do these changes right there in the screen itself. You switch to edit mode, which I'm not going to go into the detail, but you basically edit the screen and using point and click remove whatever it is that you don't like, or add whatever it is you think you like. Okay. So this is basically personas. Go back to the presentation. And as I was saying, there is content like this screen persona rapid deployment solution that you guys may want to explore in your organization if you want to give it a try. I'm going to explain later on the differences between Fiori and personas and all these different options, so you guys have a sense of when can you use one technology or the other, right? So SAP Fiori. SAP is a new user experience or user interface technology that is based on modern web standards like HTML5. Currently, there are more than 1,000 Fiori applications available. Some of these applications can be used if your SAP installation is running on HANA. Some of them can be used if you're not running on HANA, if you're running on what SAP calls any database, right? So the user interface is completely different than UI5. It is based on HTML5. It is a lot more responsive. Most of Fiori applications adapt themselves to tablets and smartphones and laptops without you actually going into the code to do that. All Fiori applications, or most of them, are scalable or extensible through software development. That means programming, of course. And UI5 or Fiori is the prospective replacement or the replacement for SAP GUI eventually, right? So SAP is doing a lot of effort in S/4HANA to move most transactions or all of the transactions gradually to an SAP Fiori experience. There's a catalog that you guys might want to check out. I'm going to display it for you as well in this link, Fiori Apps Library. And you can go through all the Fiori applications catalog. I have a filter there. There's 1,154 applications. And here you can browse all applications. They are organized by role or line of business. And you can check out some screenshots, the requirements, get links to the documentation. I encourage you to check out this catalog. If you're not running on HANA, you can still try some of the Fiori applications, for example, approve purchase orders. If you want your IT team to get acquainted with Fiori or maybe deliver some of these applications to your users already, right? So this is approve purchase orders or requisitions. And you can see this one can run on any database, right? So you see here the features, implementation information, and so on, right? So basically, there are three types of applications in Fiori. First, there are what SAP calls transactional. These are applications to create, change, approve something, create an order, approve an order, or so on, sales order or purchase order. The other types of applications are analytical, which are basically visual applications for reporting or monitoring. And fact sheets that are applications that integrate into one screen information from maybe one or more objects, for example, customer, including their open orders, pending orders, account balance, and so on, right? So whatever it is, and all applications, analytical or fact sheet, require you to have HANA as a database, or maybe even upgrade up to S4. But transactional or most transactional applications you can run or install on an SAP ECC6 installation, so you don't need actually HANA. Okay, and there's also a cloud demo of Fiori that you might want to check out to see how it looks like, see how it feels. And I want to show you a simple application to, for example, approve, say, approve requisition or approve requisitions is a good option, I think. As you can see, the Fiori experience is all based on these mosaics or mini applications tiles that you can enter, and then you access the application themselves. You can organize this screen as you want. And I'm going to show you this application about requisitions, right? So this is approved requisitions. I can see in the left a list of the requisitions that I have pending to approve. You can see the detail right here. Go through the details, any notes, any attachments that the requisition has, and then I simply click on approve, maybe a note, and complete the operation. Right? Then I finished and I cleared one item of my shelf item of my inbox, right? And I go back to it and I see that the app itself updated itself. So many applications have this kind of KPIs or indicators that kind of like help you know if you are required to go into the application itself. For example, in customer invoices, I see that I have 5 invoices that are past due. So that may give me a pointer that I may want to click on this application and go into it. So basically, Fiori is the new user experience in SAP. We've been playing around with S4HANA a while now, and I'm going to show you an S4HANA screen for a sales role, for sales processing or quotation and sales order processing and so on, and this is how it looks like. So if you can see, there are lots of applications. Some have KPIs, some have these indicators for the user to know if they have to go in or not. And this is the new user experience for SAP. And I think it's a good idea for your organizations to get acquainted. Even if you're not planning or going on S4 in the near future, you may want to get acquainted with Fiori as well. Also, I encourage you to check out this website, build.me. This is also sponsored or owned by SAP, and it's basically a cool tool to create applications, application prototypes based on UI5, which is the Fiori technology. So if you want to create a custom application that looks like a Fiori app, you can go into build.me, it doesn't cost anything, and using point and click, you can create an application prototype, which actually you can deploy. It works. I mean, meaning it's not only graphical, it actually responds to clicks and events. And if you and your IT team may want to play with this and maybe see if you are interested in using UI5 technology to create applications for yourself, right? So these are some considerations about SAP's user experience offering for personas and Fiori. In the case of personas, you can only use it with Dimpro screens, right? Basically ERP screens. If you have a supplier relationship management or CRM or other SAP software, you cannot use personas on those applications. Personas allows you to customize according to your needs. You can use them to increase productivity, avoid using ABAP code to create custom transactions that improve user experience. But you might want to potentially add JavaScript code, which is what Personas uses for their macros or scripting to automate some of the steps, right? The Personas is an add-on that you install on your ERP landscape. You may require, or in order for it to perform well, you may require to update some of your components. For example, maybe you have to upgrade to a certain enhancement package or kernel or some other stuff, right? So we see Personas as a transitional technology. It's still installed by default in S4. It is installed. You can run it, and but we think it's a transitional product. I think SAP is more focused, or is entirely focused on Fiori as a replacement user interface. But Personas allows you to, in the meantime, customize or optimize what you have before you go to S4 or improve your migrate to a Fiori more landscape approach. So Fiori, it's a new SAP technology. As we've been discussing, the apps are, of course, more simple, more responsive, easier to use. You can develop your customized applications using UI5, even if those applications are not strictly connected to SAP, right? You can use this framework to just create, for example, a supplier portal, or whatever it is you need in your organization that you want to have a Fiori-like responsive look. There are Fiori apps available for customers that do not run on HANA, as I was saying. You also need to add, have to add some additional components to your SAP landscape if you want to run your Fiori applications. This includes SAP NetWeaver Gateway and possibly other updates. Every Fiori application has requirements regarding not only technology or enhancement packages and kernel, but requirements in configuration as well, meaning configuration of SD, MM, PP modules as well. Also, Fiori extensions can be created and launched in HANA Cloud Platform, which is SAP's recent platform as a service offering for developing applications. So you can run an application in the cloud as well and connect it to your SAP ERP on-premise, right? So those are two of SAP's options, or the main two SAP options for user experience. We're not going to talk about third-party option, which is called ClearUI by a company that we are partnered with called Clear Software. What Clear Software is offering is an entirely new or alternative user interface for SAP, right? The idea of ClearUI is to simplify the use of SAP and other business software as well, right? So the main difference with Fiori or Personas here is that ClearUI is offered in a software as a service, meaning that you don't buy the product and don't install it on your SAP installation even. You buy access to it per user, and this software is connected to your SAP installation through standard interfaces. You don't need to install anything on SAP. And instead of using SAP GUI or Fiori or personas, you access SAP through this completely redesigned and different user interface. So the idea of ClearUI is to simplify the access to the ERP, putting processes in one screen. For example, the screen we're using here, we're looking at an accounts receivable dashboard with account balance for a particular customer, details, and it's basically remade from scratch, right? It's a new user interface. It reduces the cost of development, meaning that if you're using ClearUI, you don't need to develop on ABAP or personas or whatever application you might want alternative you have. And it's also a SAP certified product. And as I was saying, it doesn't require an installation. So basically, ClearUI, as I was saying, it is an alternative for SAP user experience, but is not an SAP product, right? And these are some samples of the improvements or how ClearUI can help you or can help the user improve the use of SAP or their productivity, right? This is massive editing. In this case, ClearUI has a user interface that allows you to, in one screen, update, for example, product pricing, right? So instead of going one by one, updating master data for products, for example, you can use, you can update it all at once in a single screen, then send the update back to SAP, right? So this, of course, improves user productivity. Another example would be to process orders, right? In order to process an order from, order to cash, from sales order to invoice to delivery to invoice, you have to go through a number of fragmented transaction codes in SAP. In ClearUI is all streamlined, so in a single click on a single screen, you can go from order to payment, reducing the steps required to complete the process. Right? So I'm going to show you a short video. We're not going to see it in all of it because it's a bit long. I'm just going to show you a bit of the screens so you can get a sense of how they look like. There you go. So what we're looking at now is a bit of order to cash process. You can see there's a link right there to a particular customer. Can move a little bit forward faster. This is an account balance where you can go into the items themselves. You can see that this particular document has the T accounts, attachments, all in one screen. So it's really a different experience on SAP. You know, the user might not even realize that they're using SAP, right? And it has a lot of cool features like autocomplete for fields that help you, and also with data quality and other issues with the standard GUI, right? It's a bit more intuitive than that. Okay. I'm going to go back to the presentation. And this is a comparative chart of ClearUI versus SAP's offerings, personas, and Fiori. This is not to say that each one of these options is even better or worse. It all depends on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. If you want, for example, simplification of screens and you want it fast and you don't want to invest in any more licensing, maybe personas is a good option for you. If you want to support for example, mobile customers and deploy some transactions like approving purchase orders to mobile users. Maybe Fiori is best for you. And you can also leverage some of the applications that you already have with your SAP licensing. But if you want really a complete user experience and you know, move away from SAP GUI entirely, maybe ClearUI is something to consider as well, right? The downside with Fiori and Personas, what we've seen with customers, is that it usually requires for you to upgrade the system. And many companies are reluctant or maybe even not able to do so because of custom developments and the fear that something might break if you upgrade the system. And they usually do it every other year or so. And Clear doesn't require you to upgrade SAP, and you can deploy it also very fast. And also you're not acquiring licensing because this is software as a service, so you're renting the system instead of buying new software, right? So where can you start, or where can we start if you want to take some steps to improve user experience at your organization? We offer you a free assessment on your SAP landscape if you like. We can do a quick review of where you're standing in terms of your SAP version and support packages, and we can assess if your SAP landscape is ready for Fiori or Personas. We can also help with opportunity discovery for a specific process or area. Our team is well versed in methodologies like design thinking, and also we know the technologies at hand, and we could help you and your team discover where might you find an opportunity for user experience inside your organization. And we can also provide demos for you and additional information of any of these three technologies. Right. These are some useful links that we're going to share with you, of course. User experience in SAP. There's a community about it. There's also the webinar I was mentioning. There's also a course for Screen Personas version 3 in OpenSAP. A complete YouTube channel where you can go through every single feature of Personas. With Fiori, you have the Fiori trial site where you can browse sample applications. There's also a Fiori UX course in OpenSAP and the app catalog that we were watching a while ago. And for ClearUI, you can go to clearsoftware.com and check out some of the videos that they have there with entire processes remade or improved, like order to cash or procure to pay. Right, so that's the content for our session. I hope you guys find it useful and meaningful for your organizations. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If you're not, this is my contact information. Feel free to contact us anytime. So back to you, Patricia.
Thank you, Ricardo. So please, if you have any question, just submit that in typing in the type box. You're going to be seeing like three very quick questions in your screen, so we would appreciate if you can answer those. They will start appearing now. Thank you. So those were the 3 questions. Thank you very much for attending to this webcast. As I mentioned before, you're going to receive a copy of this presentation as well as our contact information. And thank you very much for attending this webcast. Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.